dear.
Oh wow.
Oh dear.
Hi everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Alright. It's now reading time. So welcome. Hi. We have a new uh, viewer. This person called Cameronian Diaz. Hello. Very interesting. Right. So Hidayah is with us as well. Oh, I think Atika has dropped.
Thank you for supporting us.
Let me switch the overlays a little bit. There we go. Okay, so later when Tika comes back in, then only I tell you. Oh no, Tika's gonna miss the best part of the book.
She'll be back. Maybe not as early as expected, but there she is.
Oh, there she is. Oh no.
I'm just reading an interesting part, but from the it's on the last chapter, which is the 7 questions I get out ask about grit. But we won't be covering that today, will we?
Which one?
Yes.
The 7 questions I get asked about grit.
The 7 questions I get asked about grit. That is.
It's after the conclusions chapter actually.
That is in acknowledgements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we will just go in there, take a look. We can talk about it if you want. Oh, I actually don't have the 7
Okay.
questions here.
So I've just started reading it anyway, so I probably won't be able to summarize it as much. Yeah, it's basically 7 questions that covers.
Yeah, I think yours is a more recent edition, so she has the additional 7 questions added in.
Yeah,
Oops.
it's the afterword.
It's in the afterword?
Yeah, it's called afterword, the name of the chapter itself.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What is that sound? Like a fan sound? Is the fan sound still there?
I don't hear anything.
Sorry, is it mine?
No, I think it's the grass cutter in my background.
Oh, okay. There's a grass cutter in my area too.
Yeah, it's about the time
They cut grass.
for them to cut grass, I think. Yeah, just now it was ridiculously loud. I'm not sure why as well. Okay. Alright. So, welcome ladies and gentlemen to Team Untapped Book Club Grit. Alright, we are in the last chapter. Yay! We've made it. We are gonna make it.
You mean we already? Oh yeah, because haven't finished yet. So yeah, we are going to make it. It's a short chapter, not too long.
Yep.
And as usual, I don't remember most. I just read it yesterday. Just skimmed through it, but there were some useful pointers.
Yep.
Reminders, more reminders than pointers.
I think it's often the case where we will have uh, reminders and stuff. Let's see. We should also let everyone know, I think, about the next book that we will be doing. So we will talk about that later.
Yay! New book.
Yay! How do I? Yeah, there we go. There are actually two books that I find very interesting.
Let's read two then. So that I can complete at least 3 books in a year. Oh my god. Hopefully that this sad stereotype generalization that Malaysians only read 1 book a year. I think it's true lah. I can't.
No lah.
Articles don't count. Articles and blog posts don't.
No lah. Depends on the individual, right? I'm also trying to finish this book. Like, I've been trying to read this book since 3 months back. It's still halfway through. I'm so slow.
What is it called? The Age of?
Influence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's probably not a book that I'll have here. Hi Tika, can we do a sound check? Are you with us?
Oh, I am, but I am still.
A bit tied down.
Having some
Okay,
issue.
understand.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Oh.
So let us know if you can speak, and we will add you in.
Yeah, cool.
We will cue you in. Sorry. Oh, excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Now that's a sign to show everybody that, yay, we are starting the club.
Hey, what sound effect now?
Yeah, I'm gonna play around with this soundboard that I just found.
Soundboard?
Yeah, it's a soundboard. So it's got all these weird buttons with all these weird sounds, like for example.
Awkward. Oh.
Or this one.
Ooh, someone who just got shot.
Yeah, guns fired, shots fired, guns blazing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Team Untapped Book Club episode number 13. Yay! We are at the end of the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. Alright. So, just a few reminders before we start, as always. Okay. Rule number 1, polite questions from the audience related to the book are always welcome. Okay. I'll be monitoring the Twitch chat, so live questions will be answered through our Twitch chat. Alright. Our discussions may be deep and come from any angle, so please be open to receiving ideas from everyone. Okay. Also, the examples may be from personal experiences, so please don't go and attack them or abuse those ideas in any way, form, or shape. Okay. Alright. Now, without further ado, let's get into the chapter. Chapter 13, in conclusion. Wow. You know, it's been 13 weeks. That means we have done book club for 3 months. Yay, we gotta give ourselves a round of applause, man. We are very gritty. We gotta say good things about ourselves now. You know, we managed to survive 13 weeks of grit.
Yeah, I admit it does take some grit to stick to this book. It's like, it gives me a better idea of what my grit level is actually, just by just trying to complete this entire book.
Right. So in the chat, Hidayah says, time flies so fast. Yes, it really does fly so fast. Alright, so we have to make the most of the time we have. Yeah.
Celebrate.
We have to really enjoy it, right? So, how do we make use of the time? Let's get right into the chapter. The chapter starts up with Angela Duckworth talking about her thoughts on grit, right? She's been talking about grit the whole book, so she kind of just wanna summarize what she wants to really say about grit. There are a lot of things that she is looking into the future with, and there are a lot of things that she looks back on in grit. And the first point that I think is very powerful. The first point I think is the most powerful one. Okay, she says that you can grow your own grit. Yay! We make it sound like grit is a tree that you can grow it yourself, right? Did I just get disconnected? No. Okay. So she makes it sound like, grit is this tree that you can grow it by yourself, and and you can really grow it, right? So she says that there are two ways to grow grit. One is from the inside out, and one is from the outside in. Okay, which is your favorite way to grow grit, right? Which do you think is your favorite way to grow grit?
I would say it's a little bit of both. I think from the inside out is a bit difficult. Probably from the outside in, because I need some like feedback or motivation from others, and sometimes it's also it doesn't need to be a living figure to be providing you that great encouragement. It could be in the form of pop culture characters,
Pop
like
culture.
some of the like for example the comics that we read, the stories that we read, especially from manga, shonen manga in particular. It's all about not giving up. I won't give up. I won't die. That's why you see Gohan or Goku in Dragon Ball. No matter how much you pulverize that fella, he will still keep getting up.
Right,
Now
right.
that's some grit. And I think most of the children that were raised by parents that were not there, those who grew up by the TV, lah, so to speak, that's where they pick up their first messages of what grit is all about. Of course, good versus evil is a very common theme. Then there's always the good that will not give up until the evil is fully vanquished. So yeah, yeah. So I think some influence come from there as well.
And then the funny thing about you mentioning that, right, is the idea of this these guys.
Was that minion? Was that sounds like a minion giggle?
Yeah, those are
He's a
minions.
minion.
Right,
Yeah,
the
it's a
minions
minion.
are like the total opposite, right? We always talk about grit in the good versus evil context, and then Minion came along with Despicable Me and just threw the entire threw the entire hero thing out the window, and really opened up the entire world to the idea of anti-heroes.
Mm. Challenge your preconceived ideas here.
Yeah.
But back to your question, Kenji, for me, it would be nice to have a mentor figure or coach to to just guide you along. I know I'm someone that don't respond to negative feedback. I mean, I can take criticism, but I tend to fare and perform better after I receive a positive. Maybe that's just me. I'm not sure about this.
I think that happens to a lot of us, myself included. I don't like but I don't like criticism.
I think no one does in general. Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, uh, I prefer criticism to hearing something bad about myself being spoken behind my back. So
Okay.
so I think it's fair. It's fair that you are worried about criticism. You want to make sure that your what's the word for it? You want to make sure that you're doing the right things. I think these are
Mm.
all important things as we look for mentors. But I think the most important thing about getting parents, coaches, teachers, bosses, mentors, and friends, helping yourself to grow grit from the outside in. I think the most important thing in that section is faith and trust. Like I don't know. I think it's faith because it's belief and trust. You have to You have to believe these people, and you have to trust that these people have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, that I I definitely with that, especially when, let's say, we are talking about certain figures, like it was your therapist or
Hmm.
your Pilates instructor, coaches, even doctors. They definitely put just a lot of trust and faith also. So you want to make sure. So it's important that they have your best interests as
Yeah.
well.
You want to have that belief that they have your best interest at heart, lah. I think
Mm.
it's not
Yeah, you
so
want to
much.
believe.
Sorry.
You want to, yeah. We want to believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I've
think
just gone through
I think
a bit.
believing that they have the best interest at heart is more important than actually whether they have it or not.
Okay.
Because if they have it but you don't believe it, right, then it's not gonna happen.
So I think that's going to spin off into another deeper conversation. So, anywho,
Mm, true. For me, that is the reason why I prefer building grit from the inside out, because I like cultivating my interests. If it's my interest, it's my interest. So I'm interested in it. So cultivating it is a natural thing to do, right? Um, and daily challenges. Uh, I think those of you guys who follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. My handle is up there. uh, if you all follow me on Instagram, then you will notice that I am currently challenging myself every day with a workout routine, and that is another interesting thing that's going on, right? So I feel that those things kind of like form our habits, and our habits kind of form our grittiness in the long run. So I think both are important, but I prefer inside out. I'm an inside out kind of guy, not so much an outside in kind of girl. Right?
like I say, it's a bit, I think it's a bit of both. Yeah.
Let's see if Tika has anything to say. Tika,
The question was regarding whether it's inside out or outside in, right?
which one is your favorite? Yeah.
Uh, I used to think that I can motivate myself, but like for example, in terms of the fitness thing, I find it's much more easier if I have like some input from outside too. It's very helpful because there are days you don't feel like doing anything, but then your friends suddenly came out like, hey, let's go for a run, you know, those
Yeah.
kind of things. That's really, really, really helpful.
Hmm.
Yeah, an accountability partner. Like, for example, if we don't have this book club, I don't think I'll finish reading this book.
Yeah, true, true, true. Yeah, I had this book that I told you guys I had this book for like 2 years, right? I think this is the first time that I managed to finish all chapters.
Wow. So then you must be very familiar with the first few chapters, because you keep rereading them,
Mm,
right?
The
I
That-
don't
first
think I
few
finished the
chapters
first chapter.
the first few chapters are the ones are the most juicy, the most juicy in the entire book. It sort of like wanes off in the middle and the end. That's why it's like, I managed to stick to it.
I think because there are more real life examples in the earlier part of the book, and then at the later part of the book, it's more about technical knowledge and.
Yeah, that's right. And it was a
True,
lot more
true.
relatable. Doing the first few chapters are very relatable. They talk about interests and talk about
Mm.
how to cultivate it, things like that. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So that concludes the fact that you can grow your grit. I think every one of us knows now that we can grow our grit. I think at the beginning of book club, we had Ray actually say something along those lines where, oh yeah, I want to build my grit.
Hey, was that me?
Was that you? Was that you or was that Tika? No.
I
Our,
can't
don't know.
remember.
I do remember.
someone in the comments just said they also want to build their grid too.
Yeah, I think everyone wants to build their own grittiness, especially now there's more awareness that you can do it. Although I think maybe we can save that for a coffee discussion or something like that on what are the actual incidences or challenges for this year that has really tested our group, because I definitely had quite a few for this year
Wow.
actually that really put my grit to the test, and then it's like on various levels as well. So maybe at the end of the year I can actually come back to the book, ask or come back to myself and say, okay, for 2022, how did I fare on the grittiness scale?
Okay, we shall do that for chapter 20 of our book club.
Chapter 20
Episode 20 of our book club.
or episode?
It's like episode 20, recap.
Yeah, recap.
Right?
That would be fun.
Yeah, episode 20 will be 5 months in, so is it 5 months? Yeah, I think it's 5 months. Yeah,
Around that.
every month 4 weeks, right? So yeah, it's about 5 months in. So I think the idea of looking back and seeing if we've gotten grittier is a very powerful one. Okay, the next part of the chapter says happiness and grit. Now in this part of the chapter, right, this is something very interesting because a lot of people, right, talk about people who are gritty being not very happy or very happy. But at the same time, they didn't really ask about the people around gritty people. Are they happy or not? You know. So, uh, what do you guys think? If you become grittier, will you become happier?
Well, it by being grittier, it enables you to weather through the bad storms and bounce back from obstacles a lot faster,
Mm.
and also to perceive whatever setbacks in a more positive light.
Mm.
Without grit, you probably feel more depressed and disappointed whenever something gets in your way. So I suppose if you look at it in the very long run, if you are able to bounce back and feel less depressed every time when you get knocked down by failure, that means you're generally a happier person. I mean, if that makes sense. Yeah,
That's very true.
rather than someone that has totally zero grit, and every time when life knocks you back, you go back into your shell, you won't come out and won't take a shower, um, just wallow around for a week, and then a week passes by and you see everybody progressing. Compared to someone say, okay, this has happened, what can I do now? And you start taking the next step. Okay, saying that's not necessarily a happy feeling, but by having the mentality to take action to overcome whatever setbacks that you have, that will get you to your happiness threshold faster.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, does that make sense?
So Tika, what do you think? If you become grittier, will you become more happy?
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
And
But yeah, I mean, but I was like thinking, am I happy when I was running? Yeah.
So
you're still in the flow, yeah.
the both of you say that
Yeah.
yes, right? Yes, we will become happier. And
Yes.
if
Yeah.
we look at the graph, okay, the grittier people are, the happier they are. Unless if
Mm.
they are completely not gritty, then they are slightly happier. I don't know why.
Huh?
If you look at the graph, uh, the people who are slightly less gritty, no, are not gritty at all, are slightly happier compared to the people who are slightly gritty. It's weird.
I think grittier people get less depressed and less they are able to manage those emotions of disappointment, frustration a lot better than those who are less gritty. At least this is what I think, and personally maybe what I experience as well. I don't know, what about you guys? Like when you were hit by a major disappointment, do you find that your grit kind of helps?
Wow. That's a very loaded question for me, I think. Tika, you can go first. Tika's busy.
Sorry.
No worries, no
I'm a
worries.
bit confused.
Okay, then I'll answer. It's okay. So, I don't know. I consider myself a relatively gritty person. Uh, but sometimes when the questions come up, when the problems come up too frequently, or when the problems just don't seem to be solvable, then even my grittiness will wear down. And when that happens, I don't feel good at all.
Mm.
Even though my
That's a
grit sorry?
very realistic answer. I like that. Continue.
Yeah, even though my grit will pull me through, like there are situations where I was pushed to the max, and I managed to pull through, right? And ultimately the situation got resolved. It still doesn't make me feel good. It still pisses me off. I still get angry, I still get annoyed. So I think grit is important for you to gain that success and for you to push on and move forward. But at the same time, uh, grit is not a measure of happiness. In my opinion, happiness is a measure of happiness. Grit allows you to get to higher levels of happiness. Um, let's just talk about the book club, right? There were days where it was really tough to run the book club. Like, I don't know why my network was down. I don't know why I couldn't get a place that had no sound, and then there was all sorts of issues, and then there will be days where Ray couldn't make it. There will be days where I couldn't make it. Those didn't make me happy at all, man. I have to be honest. Those were not happy days.
No, even on a personal level, it's like, yeah. But knowing that there's always the next week, and we
Yeah.
can always pick up where we left off. That's what keeps me going. And then, okay, the book is not finishing yet, so let's just continue where we left off. I'm not giving up yet. So it's like a temporary setback,
Yep.
but you know that you'll be back. So maybe that's where grit comes in, to rather than, yeah, it's like, I've missed one. You know what? Forget it. I'm gonna keep missing you. You know, if that happens, then that's a totally different ballgame, or that's a totally different story. But in this case, it's like, okay, I missed this once, but I'll be back next week. I'll be back stronger, more stable. I don't know. So
Which is true.
maybe that's the grit talking. Or if
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
technical issue,
Yeah,
that it's
that's
okay. We got bad technical days. It's Malaysia after all. Our Wi-Fi isn't that wonderful. We paid so much for it. God darn it. So
yeah, we are overpaying for
yeah,
our internet, man. Like, really.
guys.
Like, I agree with that assessment, It would be very sad if we didn't have enough grit and we couldn't enjoy episode 13. Like, we wouldn't be here and talking about how we finished this book, It's like, yay, we finished this book. Like, I feel glad. I feel happy that we finished this book. And I think that is grit helping out. So one of the interesting points that Angela does ask is whether the spouse and people around the Greek paragons, are they happy? The spouses and children of
Mm.
gritty people, are they happy? What do you think? Is Richard happy that you're grittier now? I'm sorry.
He definitely saw some improvement in terms of my moods um, and in general just facing certain challenges that have the heavy challenges that I said this year. I have a lot. I have like various challenges with various levels of grit. Of course, there's the boss level one. The boss level one is a whole where I really have to retreat and fight another day. Those for the boss level challenges. But I think overall he did see an improvement. So he's kind of happy with that. But maybe I'm not so much. I'm not really a very good example. Maybe example that I think feels. Let's say if that you're talking about spouses, you have one that's working on a pet project, like writing a book or something along those lines, or even starting his or her own business, and say that let's say if that's the husband, and for that he has to give up his job and throw his entire all into it because after all it's a new business. And in that situation, the wife would have to support the husband all the way financially to some point because he lost his income after coming up to start the business. So if let's say you put yourself in that situation or look at it from that situation, will the wife be happy if that's the case?
That's a legit point. I don't have a spouse. I don't have wife
I
and
mean, it's just an
kids,
example. Yeah.
but I have parents and a sister, and I've been doing the Amway business for years now, right? And it's got its ups and downs, right? And recently, uh, I've been in a downtrend, okay, and I can tell you that me being gritty about it, like, oh no, I'm just in a downtrend. I can pull myself up. I'm gonna get this thing together, and I'm gonna forge forward. Very soon. It's good for me, but it puts a lot of pressure on my mom. Puts a lot of pressure on my sister. Puts a lot of pressure on my dad. Oh, and they let me know. They let me
Oh,
know. They really let me know, right? And yeah, it's not easy, especially when you believe what you want to believe, right? And you're gritty about what you believe in, but the people around you don't see it. And well, until you can prove it to them, they will not see it. So,
mm.
so I guess that's where grit comes in again. You know, it's like, oh, you need to be gritty to deal with grittiness. So I would assume by that token, my mom is stuck with me, right? There is no way she can say I'm not your mom anymore. Right? But a spouse has choice. A spouse can nowadays, especially where the divorce rate in America is like 50% already, 60% sometimes even. Everyone who is married to a gritty person either has to have their own grit or they can pack up and leave. You know what I mean? And that's kind of sad if you pack up and leave because your spouse has a lot of grit. You know? But there are times when I think it is necessary for the spouse to pack up and leave. It's just that you don't have to be nasty about it. You know, you can always do it in a nice way. You can always just tell them that I'm leaving for your own good. You know, or I'm being
I
hard
think
on you for
in
your own good or
I,
something.
I, I think in general, if the people around you do not see eye to eye with what you intend or set out to achieve, then that's where things can get difficult, and that's where people around you won't be happy because they're wondering what the hey are you doing? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? So it's like, yeah, so you're happy doing what you do, but yeah, so there's always that but, which kind of creates the friction. Like in your case, Kenji, you and your family. I also have a friend who is currently pursuing his passions, but he's very gritty in that sense, in just stubbornly. doing what he does best. But having said that, he's also still living
Yeah, yeah.
rent free, and not not really not really independently on his own, which
And
is
living hand
kind
to
of great.
mouth, that is.
Yeah, and that's creating fiction with his parents, and he's around our age. So I guess that, I mean, in that situation, then yes, it does create unhappiness. But the caveat that if the relationship between these two people are not good to begin with, and there are bad communication habits between them, then I don't think it's anything to do with the grittiness of the person anymore. It's just how they communicate. There has been some form of contempt or hostility that's been building up over the years. So the grittiness of the person probably is just a very small factor, or it's
Hmm.
the trigger point for that big eruption or big tension.
True, true. I agree with your point of view on this. Is yeah, but then again, that's a discussion for another topic, right? It's not about grittiness already.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I'm saying is that grittiness is independent. What I think is that the grittiness of the person does not cause does, doesn't contribute so much to the unhappiness. It's other things. There's
Yeah,
something
it's
going
a lot
on.
of
Yeah,
other things. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's other factors.
It's one
So
of them,
keep being
but not the
gritty.
only one. Yeah. It may be one of them, but it's definitely not the only one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I can imagine if you have a gritty partner who who constantly hurts themselves because they want to complete a marathon or something like that. Oh, the amount of stress you have to go through. Oh, dear God.
Until go hospital, then it's like, I don't want to say this, but I told you so.
I know, right? It's like I told you
Oh
so. You
no!
shouldn't have done it that way. You know. Yeah.
What is that? I told you so. Now I got permission to nag at you and school you. Yeah.
And I think it
Yeah,
takes a
you
lot of.
can.
Hmm. Go on, go on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're saying you take a lot of what?
Takes a lot of grit to be with somebody who has a lot of grit. That's what I wanted to say. But yeah, go on.
Or it takes a lot of grit to be with someone that has a lot of ambition.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, if your partner is very ambitious, and at times you cannot keep up with what he or she is doing, then it can get difficult. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think it's not just too much ambition. I think it takes a lot of grit just to be with somebody. And I think we will touch that later in the chapter. Yeah. So let's move to the next part of the chapter. Can you have too much grit? Is there such thing as too much grit? Are you too
Yes,
gritty?
it's called obsession.
That's a very good way of putting it. Um, I
And
think
you want to take it up another level? Okay, what's another level up from obsession? It's called disorder.
disorder. Wow. I somehow like that word a lot. I don't know.
Your father.
Ever since that song, by what's his name, uh, Toxic City by System of a Down, the word disorder has been stuck in my head.
Disorder, disorder.
Support.
Yeah, it's an interesting song. Anyway, about the thing called too much greed. Yeah, obsession is one way of putting it. I think it's a very nice way of putting it. I personally think that there is something called too much greed. It just doesn't happen very often. Because I think for example we use the idea of culture, Japanese culture and greed, the last chapter, and when you have too much greed, that is when people go kamikaze for fun, right?
Fun. I thought that was for the country.
No,
Yeah.
like what I'm referring to is not the ones who died in the war, but the ones who went kamikaze after the war. You know when you have too much greed, okay, then the war has ended for about 50 years, And then finally we find this guy who comes out of the forest going like, oh, I give up on everything, I'm gonna kill everybody for the empire, for the emperor.
It's
And
not,
then it's like the emperor has died don't know how many generations ago, bro.
That's what I said about what comes after obsession, disorder. So in this case, it sounds like he's really having a what we call this delusional disorder or it.
So that's too much great. But that's we're talking about very very exaggerated level of scale, right? Let's talk about something more normal. I feel that too much greed can cause a lot of friction between friends because everyone knows that Kenji is a gritty person. Everyone knows that among my friends at least. Okay, but when I implement grit, when I am doing grit, when I am being gritty, or everyone can't take it. Everyone's like, no, Kenji, we need to go have our games. No, we need to go enjoy life. No, we. And then Kenji is like, no, we need to go and work. We need to make sure that we get our appointments in. We need to make sure that we do our demos right. And then everybody's like, no, we just need to slack off a little. We need to pull the brake a little. And I'm like, no, we need to go all out. It's always guns blazing. It's always fire burning in our butts. Let's go, you know. And then everybody's like, no, we can slack. It's time to rest. I work
Because
this
that's
weekend. Yeah.
because that's Kenji culture.
Yeah.
Not so much too much grit. That's the culture of Kenji, which also echoes with the whole that Malay proverb of alang-alang menyulut perkasam dia sampai ke pangkal. You want to do something good, you go out with a bang. So I think it's more. So I think it's more from that. That's more its mindset already, mindset and your way of doing things. My understanding of too much grit is like the most obvious example is when you put your own health in danger, like you've been losing sleep, or in some cases, if you're talking about Japanese people again, there is a story, I know, a true story I know, of a Japanese music composer who works in the game industry. He works so hard that he only gets 2 hours of sleep, and by the end of the project, he was literally defecating blood and was rushed to the hospital.
Yeah.
So that is really too much. Is too much. Is when you ignore your own needs, you ignore your own body. You know you need to rest, but no, you just insist on going on and going on. It's not good enough, and it's not good enough, and yeah, you land yourself on a hospital bed as a result of that, and waste more time because in the hospital you're forced to rest. That, in my opinion, is way too much grit.
I've been there.
Way too much grit. Too much.
I like how when you mentioned that, Tika pointed at me, going like.
Way too much grit. Way too much grit. Out of balance.
Yeah. I think you're right. I've got an example from my own history where there's this time in my life, right, where I was going around meeting a lot of very very pretty girls, very smart girls, very rich girls, some of which are right now very influential, and I didn't want to go out with them. I didn't want to hang out more with them. I didn't want to spend more time with them. I didn't want to get to understand them or know them, simply because I believe that I was set with my girlfriend at that time, even though the relationship was so rocky. It was causing me delusions, but I still stuck with it, and because of that, I lost a lot of other opportunities in life, right? I see in the book she talks about giving up on piano, giving up on French, because there were many things in my life that I didn't give up on. I didn't give up on the tavern for I ran tavern for 11 years. I didn't give up on the Amway business. I've been doing the Amway business for 8 years. I didn't give up on my own business to the point where I ran it to the ground. So many times I think, you know, grit needs to be kept in check as well. There were days where I was doing so many things and I just fainted. Like I drove home, got out of the car, and I just fainted there, right in front of the house. And I didn't wake up until it rained. And then I got all wet. And the car door was open, the car door got all wet. And I was like, oh no.
You
So
proud of that?
I am not proud of it, but it's great. It's definitely great.
I think that's more like obsession already. Like, what is it that made you want to push yourself that hard? But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. So okay, we've proven that grit needs to be kept in check, but I think the common thing about grit is that friends are there to keep you in check. You know, that's what like what you mentioned earlier when we talked about growing grit from the outside in and inside out. You mentioned that outside in would be when I think outside in would be when people around you are the ones who support you, who help you out with your grit, you know. So I think that's good. That's a great way of looking at grit. Okay, let's move to the next question. The grit trifecta. Yes. This is where we will talk about the what was it? What was that I said that we will talk about later in the chapter again? Now I kind of wish I had the YouTube replay.
In the last, you mean the last chapter? Oh gosh, I can't remember.
No, just now, just earlier, slightly earlier, something about friends. Something about grit and people around you. Oh yeah. We were talking about grit and then how people around you will help you with your grit. And then we were saying that, you know, your friends around you are the ones who affect you in terms of your grit. And then we were talking about whether your spouse will be affected by your grit and whether you need grit to deal with your spouse. So this is where we will talk about it, right? In the book, Angela Duckworth simply mentions that grit has 3 forms that she thinks, okay, that relate to a person's character. Okay, it's not the most important, as she says in the book, but it's one of the aspects of a person's character, right? So we will look at grit in terms of character. Now, when she talks about grit in this part, she mentions that how does grit relate to other things, other aspects of a person's character? How does grit relate to other virtues? And she says that she finds grit in 3 clusters called the intrapersonal, interpersonal, and intellectual dimensions of your character. To put it in simple English, the strengths of will, the strength of heart, and the strength of mind. Right? So these are the 3 ways that she thinks grit is involved in us. Now the first one she talks about is intrapersonal, which is building grit from inside out, right? Things that like your discipline, your ability to push yourself, right? That is intrapersonal. And then she talks about interpersonal, which is amongst people, you and another person, okay? How gritty are you to accept what the other person has to say? How people look at you as a kind person or gritty person or a person who can control themselves in a social environment. Right? And the last one she talks about is intellectual, right? How gritty you are when engaging with an idea, how gritty you are when engaging with a concept or something that you want to try to do. Which do you guys think is your favorite in this trifecta and why? Or something that you want to work on in this trifecta and why?
I think I need to work on all three of them.
Yeah.
I think all of us, to some degree, will have various scores. And being our own harshest critic, I would say that I need to work more on my intrapersonal. Interpersonal, I think I'm okay. However, if I take a test, it might reveal otherwise. In terms of intellectual, also that needs a lot. That needs work lah. Like I said, in every area, every individual will have like various scores in this area. But for me, it's definitely intrapersonal and intellectual. Like we're talking about things like self-control, self-discipline, and like if you look at Vulcan, for instance, his intrapersonal is actually very, very high.
Mm.
Very high intrapersonal in terms of self-control and discipline. When you have to do, then he'll just go do it lah. And sometimes he do it until he hurts himself lah. So that's when there's too much greed. Comes back to that in a full circle. In terms of interpersonal, it's getting there. The feedback that I got was he's changed a lot because I end up in his life. Yeah, I've been giving him my share of issues, so and he's able to cope with it. Anywho, intellectual, I think he's not so bad. So then again, maybe it's just me putting people on the pedestal. I tend to view people in a very positive light, but I view myself in a very negative light. For me, on a Likert scale of 10, hey, intrapersonal, how? Intrapersonal, 3 off. Interpersonal, intellectual. So my score all very low.
Personal opinion. I think that the fact you are married to Richard means your interpersonal very high.
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, you should. It's not easy dealing with people who are very gritty intrapersonally. I personally think that my intrapersonal and intellectual grit super high. I think that if I put my mind to something, I will confirm do it, right? And intellectual is, if let's say I'm studying or I'm reading up on something, I can actually like physically force my way through it even if necessary. But my interpersonal grit is not that strong. I know that I'm not very good at interpersonal grit. I lose my temper very easily when it comes to people, and yeah, I think that's something that I really should work on. Like
Okay. Though I seem to be seeing it from a different angle, but it's okay. Everyone has a different.
It's a lot of
Receiving-
improvement now. I can tell you very straight up right now. A lot of things have happened to me over the years that caused my interpersonal grit to level up. I'm very thankful to Hidayah for that. Thank you very much, Hidayah. If she's still listening.
But I like how Angela actually break it into this trifecta: interpersonal, intrapersonal, and intellectual. Yeah, because they're all interrelated. I think particularly the intrapersonal part of things, because we are talking about it coming from the inside out. As for interpersonal, I'm trouble trying to relate it with wit, because interpersonal is dealing with other people. So in terms of wit, where does that come in?
Sorry, say the question again.
I have trouble like understanding how is interpersonal part of this trifecta. Of course, I understand that grit is more of a personal, internal thing, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it's from the inside out. Intrapersonal definitely and intellectual yes, but interpersonal.
Oh, very, very easy. Have you ever had somebody walk up to you and criticize things that you really, really like?
Mm.
Oh, a lot.
Right?
Thanks, Tika. I really honest answer.
So the ability to not punch that guy in the face when he says something like that, yeah, that's interpersonal grit right there.
Yeah, I get that.
At least that's what I understand. Because it's, for example, uh, you're probably living with somebody, right? A housemate, a roommate, or whatever. And that person has a habit of peeing all over the toilet and not cleaning up after himself. And you live with that day in, day out, every single day. That's great. An example would be you're living with someone who is not financially capable of supporting themselves. And
Mm.
they take advantage of it or they abuse you into it. That's great, right? So I think interpersonal grit is something generally most people need to have to survive in social environments, right?
I think I have a good example actually in terms of the grit in relation to interpersonal. Like recently, I've shared with you all that I've joined this dance program. All right, so that's
Mm-hmm.
one. And then on like a sort of like a spin-off, there's this Japanese folk dance which they have maybe twice a month, which is nothing to do with the dance program. But I thought I just give it a shot and try it out, see what's it all about, out of pure intellectual curiosity, and because I like Japanese culture as well. So what happened was didn't really um, I didn't really appreciate the the methods of the young instructor. The instructor is very young. He's like uh, probably in his early 20s, maybe studying, not even graduated yet. At least that's the impression I got of him. I could be wrong. Yeah. But I think after like an hour, about 20 minutes into the session, uh, I found my interest starting to wane. And then in the following week, okay, he got COVID, so I thank God he's not there. So he's taken over by his assistant instead, which is no better. I mean,
Whoopsie.
they're obviously not trained. They're not trained instructors, so to speak. As I said, they are very very young. So by the end of the session, by the end of the session, I was thinking, I'm just gonna finish the next 2 weeks and then I'm done. It's like my grit cannot tahan.
That must have been kind of bad.
I think it was because like I think that is partly more for the most of it is it's actually an interpersonal factor because I just didn't like the way how the instructions were doled out. You see, I didn't like how it was going.
Yeah, you didn't like how they gave you the instructions.
Yeah, and maybe there was something about it that somehow from here I started off really very excited. Take out my stretches very quiet. Then I got there. The moment the session started, 15 minutes into it, it was like going down, going down, going down. The second, for following me is like even lower.
Oh no.
And I walk away saying, you know what, I'm just gonna finish this shit and I'm done. I said, just two more classes, two more classes. And I just can't stand it anymore. So I was like, what happened? Where's all
Ow.
the grit?
That definitely takes a lot of interpersonal grit.
Yeah, I think it's more of an interpersonal grit more than anything. It's nothing to do with intellectual and it's not intrapersonal because intrapersonal as you said, it's about self-control, it's about discipline. And yes, I did put some practice, I did listen to the music and all that. Go back also do some homework. Before months also just try to recall the routines a little bit. So definitely interpersonal is there. Intellectual was there at the beginning, which was what got me into it in the first place. Then the rest went down the down the drain because the interpersonal failed. It's a case of can I continue to put up with it? Like I don't know, maybe I just didn't like some of the commentary that was shared by by the instructor. So and my patience was I didn't have the patience somehow. Maybe it could be a young person teaching of that was expecting like maybe a Japanese sensei or something to a bunch of university students or something.
Yeah, you
The
kind of felt let down
expectations
there, right?
it just waned. But I took that as a that incident, that one-off incident, as a case study of why did my grade fall. What happened? It's Japanese folk dance. It's something that you're supposed to be interested in. What happened?
So it's something that you liked.
Yeah, something that you like.
All right. Which begets actually this begets the next very powerful question that Angela mentions in the book. Will talking about greed set the expectation too high? Now in the book, Angela Duckworth talks about setting the expectation too high for children, right? But I personally found that it also affects adults, right? The teams that you work with and stuff like that. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? We were talking about greed set the expectation too high.
Like talking about grit literally, or like I'll give you an example of
Okay,
in
so
let's say we're having dinner or something, and then Kenji you were to talk about grit.
let's talk about the book, right? The book says gives an example that says, uh, careful, Dr. Duckworth, or children will all grow up thinking they can be Usain Bolt, Wolfgang Mozart, or Albert Einstein, right? Then she asked this question: if we cannot be Einstein, is it worth studying physics? If we cannot be Usain Bolt, should we try to go and run as fast? Is there any point in trying to run a little faster or a little better than we did yesterday? And these are funny questions. If the daughter says to me, Mom, I shouldn't practice my piano today because I'll never be a Mozart, alright? Then I'll probably tell her, you're not practicing piano to be a Mozart. But this is a very powerful mindset that I think is very important, because I'll give an example of what I'm trying to do without trying to spoil too much. I'm in the Amway business, right? And I often have to deal with people who just don't want to try so hard. They come and tell me, Kenji, I try so hard, I'm not going to be diamond also. I try so hard, I'm not going to be FC also. You can't exactly tell them that you're not trying so hard to be diamond. It doesn't sound right. But
Yeah, because most of the presentation, from my understanding, is that to aim for diamond, to aim for it, you can do it.
yeah, a lot of them are done that way, and I want to change. I want to move the mindset from just going diamond to something else. But in order to do that, I need to answer this question: is it too much to expect people, or to talk to people and expect them to be gritty? Is it too much to say? Too much to do? You know? Is it too much for me to expect, let's say for example, Atika, we are going to do this book club, alright? So I expect you to show up every day. I expect you to be gritty enough to go through the entire book club with me. Is that too much to expect? From children, from teammates, from spouse, from whoever? What do you think? It's like Kenji just took something simple and then just made a deep topic out of it.
You know, I have this principle or way culture. last last two chapters I'm saying I got no culture, now I'm saying I got culture. Anyway,
You always have culture.
There's this thought that comes into mind and something which I kind of believed in as well, and that is no one rises to low expectations. And that's why I have a tendency to set too high expectations on myself. And I believe that when people set a reasonable expectation level of expectations on me, I have a tendency to want to strive to achieve that that's been set, but it shouldn't be too high, so to speak. So your question of what was your question again? How much?
So the question is it too much to expect greed? We're talking about greed set the expectation too high. Is greed a barrier that is too high for people? I'm sorry, the silence is killing me.
You should put that. You should put that Jeopardy music.
Kenji just killed the conversation again. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think that
it depends on the person?
It depends on the person and depends on what things you ask to them.
Right. So in the book we talk about being gritty. Okay? So I think the book's example is quite good. The book's example says that, you know, to be gritty is to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Okay? To be gritty is to hold an interesting and purposeful goal. Right? To be gritty is to invest every day. Right? Year after year. Okay? And to be gritty is to fall down 7 times and rise 8 times.
Okay, that's something that I can accept. If you said you're talking about grittiness where every day you just put one foot in front of the other, and when you get knocked down, you rise up again. Fall down 7 times, rise 8 times. If it's things like this, then I think expectations aren't that high. I think it's something very doable and very realistic within my.
Yeah. So when we talk about grittiness as expectation, we're not talking about that person becoming a superstar. We're not talking about that person becoming a celebrity. Like for example, if we talk about grittiness as a expectation, okay, we're not saying that, oh Kenji, you're gonna be 56 kilos by the end of the week. That is not being gritty. That is just a result. Grittiness is a process. Grittiness is an aspect of character that shows itself through a process. Alright? So being gritty, expecting someone to be gritty means that tomorrow you're gonna come back for a book club. Tomorrow you're gonna come back for practice. Right? You're gonna discuss about the book. You're gonna discuss about your work. You're gonna work on your work. Right? I believe, right, anybody here who works a 9 to 5 job is already very gritty. Right? I for one cannot imagine myself clocking in every day at the same time just to do some same work. No, I can't. Even though I know it's a good thing, okay, and I want to do it, I somehow am not interpersonally gritty enough to go through it.
The daily grind.
The daily grind, yes. So I feel that expecting people to be gritty should come par for the course. Because if you sign up for something, it should be fair for me to expect you to be responsible enough to show up. Right? Grittiness is part showing up, right? So I think that is my consideration for grit. What do you guys think? Do you think it's fair?
I'm taking this. I'm going to use this example from my current dance program. Basically, I had a sharing last session, expressing to the instructor and the other fellow students that I'm not happy with the solo that I choreographed for myself because to me it doesn't look like a dance. To me, it just looks like I'm flailing my hands and moving, but it doesn't look pretty to me. And that's when we started talking about expectations. You see, because being 3 months into the course, and I'm already expecting some kind of but no way I'm going to look like the professional dancers that have been training since young or have the body suppleness and flexibility that also has been trained since young. I'm starting at the age of 40, and already the body has been so conditioned by so many bad habits that it needs to be undone. And to undo all of that within 3 months, it's just unrealistic. And that is the reason why I'm not able to pull off certain aesthetically pleasing looking moves in the choreography that I've done, which is what's getting me very down. So when we talk about grit, relating it to expectations, I say I'm not the question of whether I should continue doing this program after I graduate because I'm not going to be a dancer. It's actually exactly the same thought here that's been brought up in the book, which is I shouldn't practice piano today because I'm going to be Mozart. And you're not practicing piano to be Mozart, is the answer. And so that's the question that brought myself, which is you're not doing this to be, I don't know, insert name of very famous dancer here. Even I don't know who that person is. I'm not I'm not practicing dance for that. It's just to enjoy the activity and being able to express myself through movement and learning some stretching exercises and some certain cardio that will make the body better after and unlearning all the bad habits accumulated during so many years, you see. So it's about, again, putting one step ahead of the another every day. When compare my body 3 months ago, what was it like? And comparing 3 months ago, if I were to throw some random music there, will I even dare to do a random dance with all the doors closed? I won't. So that is the progress that we're talking about. It's not to be some flashy K-pop dancer or to join competitions or to join auditions. It's just to learn and enjoy it and to see where that takes you, I suppose. And that's what I think talking about grit ideally should be, rather than giving the wrong idea that once you do this program then you're going to become a champion and you can start going for competitions. No.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that is what it's about. I think a lot of people tend to think that they join the event, they join the thing
Program
for the result, right? But when we are talking about expectations of grit, I think one example is the workout routine that I'm going through right now. It's really tough. It's really tough. It really tests you mentally, physically, and every other early that you want. Okay. Like one example is today. When I said to Atika that I'm gonna wake up and run for my fast 30 in the morning, right? Oh, it was tough. The sun is hot, and I'm having knee pains. My knees were injured yesterday during the deadlifts because I had to lift for other people, right? And then after that, I still did it, right? I didn't make my time. I wanted my time to hit sub 7 minutes, but I couldn't. Every 500 meters, I needed to take a break. I was so tired, I needed to take a break. And I felt like giving up, you know. I was like, oh shit, I've already run 28 minutes already. I should be considered okay already lah, not bad already, right? I almost 30 minutes already. No, I still did it. I could have done the whole workout without doing the warm-up, right? I could have just done it, just run and not do my bear crawls, not do my reverse bear crawls, not do my squats. But no, I did it. Why? Because it's about grit. It's about putting one foot in front of the other and going through the program as the program is, so that I improve myself, so that I am one step better than I was yesterday, right? So that's why sometimes when people come up to me and ask me things like, oh Kenji, I don't think I can do it this way. Can I get an easier way? And I'm looking at them going like, yeah, sure, I suppose, you know, like, yeah, go ahead, do it easier, but then that just shows that you're not gritty enough. You're not putting yourself one foot in front of the other and going through the process of improving yourself. You're just taking the easy way out. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's like someone who, since Ray, you're a dancer, right? Then you probably understand this a little bit better if I use this example. I had a cousin who is a very prolific. He's a relatively good dancer. I'll call it that way, okay? And he used to dance for Kinjas. You know Kinjas? Kinjas is one of the popular dance crews, right? He used to dance with them, and he was the one who introduced me to the Jabberwockies crew and stuff like that. So anyway, so he used to dance with them, and one of the things that is very important when they dance is you can either show up to dance today and just dance, like just go through the moves, or you can dance with feeling, where you actually feel the moves and then you understand why you're doing what you're doing, and it looks totally different. It feels totally different when you're watching those two kind of dancers. Have you ever seen like dancers who just come in just to dance and then they go like right? And then someone who's actually giving their all to the dance. They're really putting in the effort. They're really moving through the going through the feelings, the emotions, and the steps. Those people, right, who actually go through everything, the entire motions, they learn more, they experience more, and they enjoy more, because they are the ones who get to see the results. One of my friends, I mean, she's no longer my friend now because I broke up with. Anyway, it's a funny story. One of my friends, okay, or one of the people who used to be my friend, used to be a competitive dancer, a competitive ballroom dancer. And I remember asking her this question: what is the difference between your dance, okay, and that other person who is dancing right now? And she said this: that other person who is dancing right now is not feeling the dance. It's just going through the motions. So when you're just going through the motions, you're not improving. And when you're not improving, people won't choose you, people won't select for you in competitions. It is all about going through everything with everything you got. And I think that is grit. That is the grit, at least, that I look at. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I've spoken too much.
No,
Okay.
it's a good. It's a good sharing. Yeah.
So let's move on. Right. We're at the final slide. Final thoughts. Working towards becoming grittier. if we look at the book, this is this is a poem that someone wrote to describe being gritty while writing, in writing, right? And I think it's a very good description of being gritty. All right. So maybe I'll just read it once for everyone. It says, "The challenge of writing is to see your horribleness on page, to see your terribleness, and then go to bed, and wake up the next day, and take that horribleness and that terribleness, and refine it, and make it not so terrible and not so horrible, and then go to bed again, and come the next day, and refine it a little more, and make it not so bad, and then go to bed the next day, and do it again, and make it maybe average, and then one more time, if you're lucky, maybe you get to good, and if you've done that, that's a success." I really feel that this poem sums grit up very, very nicely, actually.
Yeah, it sums up my journey in choreographing my own solo as well, actually. Yeah, see your horribleness on the video. You see your horribleness and go to bed. Wake up next day and take that horribleness, that terribleness, and refine it. Make it not so terrible, not so horrible, and then go to
I think we can relate that to Atika's running also. The challenge of running is to see your horribleness on numbers. To see your
don't remind me,
terribleness at
man.
running. And then go to bed. So I think this poem sums up not just writing but life in general. I think the challenge of living, right, is to really see your horribleness on a day-to-day basis and then go to bed.
horrible.
So when we look at it that way, right, I think learning to live is in itself learning to be gritty.
Life itself is gritty.
Life itself takes grit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to live a reasonable life, an average life, a moderate life, takes a lot of grit, I think. Because it's easy to give up. It's easy to just say, oh, things aren't too good today. I just want to do something else. Things aren't too good today. I want to do something else. I didn't do good today. I just want to hide and go away. In fact, many times, I have said that to myself, only to wake up the next day and go like, okay, it's a new day, let's do this again. Many times. In fact, I've done it so many times, I'm afraid of writing a diary. Because I'm afraid that in my diary, I'm just merely repeating myself. It's just copy paste.
You got people to meet daily, and then they share everything themselves every day. I always see every day is a sure. At least that's what I used to think when I'm in primary school. I wish I still had that same thinking. Back then when I was in primary school, I used to think every day in school there's always something exciting. Like for example, Monday there's double period of maths, Tuesday there's music, Wednesday there's PJK, Thursday there's PA, that sort of thing. So every day there's always something exciting. Where did that thinking go now that I'm an adult?
I think that we as adults take a lot of things for granted. It's probably not a very popular opinion, but I think we take a lot of things for granted in the sense that we consider ourselves experts in living. And we are no longer
No.
finding new things in the novelty of it. Remember in
No,
chapter, I think it was,
I'm still a novice in living.
I think in chapter 4, was it chapter 4? Wait, let me just double check my notes. I think in the previous chapter we mentioned this, right? For the expert, okay, the novelty is in nuance, right? And we forget that. As we grow up, we forget that. You see, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but this happens to me a lot, okay? Every day, when I walk every day, I notice my feet in a wrong position. And that is novel to me. So every day, I actually mentally spend effort telling myself that my feet is in the wrong position, I need to straighten it back. I need to straighten it back. I need to straighten it back. Oh, my back is in the wrong position, I need to sit up straight. And my back is in the wrong position, I need to stand up straight. My chest is in the wrong position, I need to move my arms back. Every day, I do that. And that's what keeps me interested in checking myself. Right? So as we grow older, it's not like we get better. As we grow older, we need to tell ourselves to notice more things. And that in itself is the unique part of life, I suppose. And being able to keep noticing these things, that takes grit. That takes a lot of grit. Imagine.
That takes intellectual curiosity.
No, I think that's all of the trifecta all at once. For example, today someone pisses you off. You get so angry. Tomorrow you wake up and you have to see that person again. And at the same time you're telling yourself, oh, I need to make sure that my posture is not too menacing. I need to make sure that my smile is there so that they don't feel like I'm pissed off at them. that takes a lot of all factors of grit in there. so I think, yeah, after reading the book, growing with grit is something that I really would like to do, and I think it's a lifelong journey because being alive takes a lot of grit. Okay,
Living takes grit. So comes to the question: do we want to? Grit is something that everyone should learn. Preferably instill them in your kids, in children when they're young age. If not, they'll give up easily in everything. Is what we're seeing with snowflakes these days.
Yeah, man. So, any more concluding thoughts on the book?
It's been a long journey. I feel sad for having to close this book, but I also feel this need to wanting to read the first few chapters again, especially about the nuances and all those little things that I've already forgotten. Because there's a lot of gems in the books that you have to unpick.
That's true. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the next book. Whoops. Bring to front. You guys see it?
The energy bus.
The energy bus.
Yeah. Okay, so the next book that we'll be talking about is called The Energy Bus by John Gordon. Alright? It's a very interesting book. I honestly find this book very exciting to read because it is so uplifting and it's so simple. The writing is simple, the English is simple, but the contents can be so deep.
Looking forward to it.
And the whole book is about examples and more examples of real life situations, that could happen. It may or may not have actually happened, but it could happen. So I really like the book. I was torn. I was actually torn between the Energy Bus by John Gordon, okay, and the other choice. Would you guys like to see what the other choice is?
Mm-hmm.
And the other choice that I had was this one. Hang on. There we go.
What is that book?
Oops.
12 Rules for Life, the antidote to fear. Jordan Peterson sounds familiar.
Yes. It's the 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Those of you who are not sure who Jordan Peterson is, Jordan Peterson is this guy who goes up to feminists and says things like, so if you are talking about equal rights for women, equal working rights for women, why aren't we talking about bricklayers, where among bricklayers there's only 1% of them who are women? Should we have quotas for bricklayers to be women? That's Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I love the way he is very frank about things. And just today, I was listening into a podcast while running about this book. Not exactly about this book, but they mentioned this book. And they mentioned how self-help books change according to culture and are a very interesting viewpoint on the morality of that culture. It's a very interesting thing. But I think this book may be a bit deep, so let's go with something lighter, because we just finished Grit, right? And like Ray said, Grit also took a lot of grit. So
It's not an easy book to read in the sense that it's the writing way is written. It's not very engaging.
yeah, so let's read
But it's
something
not-
that's lighter.
But having said that there's a lot of content. There's a lot of content inside.
Yep.
For me personally, I like books with some points where you can sit back and self-reflect, or some activities or homework where you should take that and do. So this great book doesn't do that. Unless there's another book is written with more action. So
You know the interesting thing about Grit, the book, is that there are many people who actually wrote articles and other books about that book. Because
yeah.
because it is so difficult to read. So you have to give yourself a big round of applause, right, for actually surviving Grit. So
Finished it. Except there's the extra bit inside my book that you all
that we don't have.
yes. Which I could bring the next time and you can take a look at it.
Cool.
Or I could take photos. It's called 7 Questions I Get Asked About It.
Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you to everyone who came and joined us on the live stream. This episode will be up on YouTube soon, and I'll see you guys in the next book. Bye bye.
Bye bye.